Morning, Chris.
Morning, Melanie.
Morning.
Sorry, you can hardly see me, I don't suppose. Probably better. Yeah.
No
Right.
sunshine today.
Yes. Lovely and sunny outside, but a bit dark in here.
No, we've not got sun. Where are you calling from?
Salisbury.
All right. Okay.
Where are you?
Folkestone.
Folkestone. Oh, just along the way
Just
there.
along the coast.
Yeah.
So send the sun to us.
Yeah. Oh, it's blue skies.
Ah, right. Well,
Probably bucket down later, but there you go. Right, just got to sort a few things out and then I should be back.
yep. Good. Morning, Chris. Are you talking to me now?
Yes, sorry, I didn't realise I'd switched my audio off.
I thought he'll know in a minute. I couldn't see your mouth moving.
Apologies.
So you're the one with the lovely bridge, which is in America.
Golden Gate.
Golden Gate. Haven't been anywhere near. Oh, where is everybody today?
I'm near Ringwood in Hampshire.
Oh, right.
So just along the coast from you and just down.
Do you know Rex Waygood?
No.
No, he lives there, I think. Do you go to Camera Club or just?
No, I used to run
Online.
a small camera club here, but it's sort of filtered out because couldn't find anything. We used to do mainly practical things rather
Right.
than so. But I've just recently joined two astronomical societies to improve my photography of the night sky.
Excellent. Is it coming into a good time of year for that?
It's probably a bit better towards the end of August through till, well, right through till March, April, because it's a bit late to go out at 12
Go
o'clock.
out, that's right.
Get dark sky.
Yeah, we go to bed in the light sometimes.
Yeah, so yeah. But after October, it starts to get a bit cold.
Yes, yes. Can't have everything.
No.
A friend of mine does it, but he's got his equipment set up so that he does it all from inside.
Yeah. Well, we're not in a particularly dark area where our house is, so I don't think the iPad would work 20 miles away, you know.
No.
Morning,
Yeah, he
morning,
looks
morning.
cold. You look a bit wintry, Joe.
Wintry. Well, it's not that warm here.
No.
Yeah. Yes, I've been out setting up April with her. She's doing a craft fair today, so I've been
Oh, right.
setting up the stand and zoomed back from the village hall. So,
Hope she has good sales.
well, it's going to be good today. Yeah, they've got lovely weather coming apparently today, and the Lord Mayor is coming to officially open this kind of fair thing, so that she's now involved in. So they're going to get lots of people today.
Very good.
Yes.
Good morning, Melanie, and
Good morning.
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 Good morning, everybody.
Let me
Did
check.
you see Richard's email, Joe?
I haven't had a look at emails. No. So let me just check the share.
He failed to use Google.
Oh, he failed miserably. Did you, Richard? Miserably. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Google and I have fallen out.
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't know how, Richard.
What?
How?
Oh, it claims I've used all the space I'm allocated. It wants to flog me more space at only £3 a month or something. But I've just been deleting things. But when I was trying to get it to you, it was
still Right.
it was still saying, "Oh yes, that's an interesting folder. No, you can't. Even if it's not your folder, you can't upload anything to it."
Right. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can find something from you. No, Kickstarter are trying to sell me something.
It's yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday, was it? Right. Okay, let's go back to yesterday. Yesterday, I was out with my camera yesterday shooting.
Yes, yes, we know.
I wasn't looking at emails yesterday.
I thought you might have a quiet time in the hide that you were
Well,
bored.
3,000 photos yesterday.
Oh, I
Or
thought
what?
300 was a lot.
110 gigabytes of photos I loaded last night.
Did you have it on rapid fire?
Yeah, well, we were shooting kind of kestrels and stuff like that.
yeah.
So, yeah, they were flying in and things. So, now I'm trying to find something here from
I
Richard.
could do it, Joe.
Yeah, I've not got anything in from you, Richard. Did you send it to kind of Gmail, my Gmail? Yeah.
I responded to your to the thing Melanie sent out.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'll do it, Joe. I'll do it.
Okay. Well, if you send it on to me, Mel, then I'll
I'll just pop it in the Google Drive, or yeah, just send it to you.
because yeah, send it to me because I've downloaded everything already.
Okay, will do.
Lovely. There we go. Yes. Hold on. Penny's just wants me. I'll just be back in a sec.
It's the younger version of Joe.
No, it's just what you can
Not
achieve
looking
on
so
photo.
grey. Don't know why Joe didn't get that. It's gone.
Right. It's not in there yet, Mel.
I just this minute.
I'm afraid I only put mine in very late last night.
I've got yours. No, I've got yours. Yeah, yeah. Because they were in the Google Drive. I picked that up about 8 o'clock. So there we are. Mel. Right, there we go. Mel.
My plea worked. I saw there was a few more in there.
Oh, I see. So we've got a Dropbox link. Richard Wilton was. Oh, there we are. Yes. So Rhine in Flames. Dum dum dum. Yes. So can I? What? Send a code to your phone number so I can get your.
Oh no, it's not doing this, is it?
Why should I be the only person who gets frustrated?
I didn't know it was doing that.
It's not just me, is it? Not? Come on, give me my code. No, I've got 1 bar. I'm going to have to go. Oh, there we are. I've got 3 bars now. Code should come through any minute. No, resend the code. Come on, resend it. There we are. 265341. 265341. Right. Okay, so now I'm into something. Files. Golly. Okay. Oh, now let's try this again then. Dropbox. I'm just going to download, save as into unedited, because that looks like the CR2 one. Make sure I'm in the right talk here. Save. And then that one is the edited one, I think. Bom, bom, bom. exposure. Edited.
Morning.
Morning, Peter.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay. So
Sorry, we're Joe's fiddling with his technology.
Blame Google.
Right, so now I can synchronize my folder and I should have, yes, I've got 2 new images in. Lovely. It looks like it's working.
Great.
Yay. Well, that's fine. We've got lots of images today. Thank you, everybody. Yes, so that's great. Unedited. Yes, we have your fireworks and then in the edited. So we've got images from all over the place. Guy and Gordon and Godfrey, all the G's. I'm sure I saw something from Dot.
Yeah, there's a couple there.
Denise sent one in, and various other people sent them in without names on, so we can figure out whose those are. And PTM, who's PTM? Oh, that's Peter. Yes, that's right. Yes, you've sent some in as well. Yeah, so we've got a nice lot to play with today. I put a little long exposure guide together, which is in the Dropbox folder. I don't know whether
No, not Dropbox. Don't confuse them.
Seen it?
Google Drive folder. Yeah. So that is in there to read and peruse at your leisure. I mean, the before and during and after the shoot stuff is fairly standard, but I would go to the back of that little guide and have a look at some of the links to the photographers and the websites.
Yeah.
Because there is some wonderful stuff in there. In some of them you may know of, and some of them you may not. But there is some fabulous stuff. So you have a nice hour ahead of you, or whatever, if you follow some of those links. Yeah. Okay.
Are we going to have a workshop on how to find more time to watch all these things?
Yeah. Time management.
Organise our lives so we have
Yeah.
more time.
Absolutely. I know, it's mad, isn't it? Right.
Sometimes is.
It's 10 o'clock. I think we'll start, will we? All
Shall
good?
we?
Yeah, shall we? Shall we? Yes. We seem to have a nice lot in today. So welcome.
Oh, somebody hasn't got the Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go and deal with Guy.
Mel, you fiddle with your technology and I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to understand where it is in the ticketing system.
So I think most people are old hands here today. If there is anybody who's new, welcome. This is number 8 in our Let's Edit Photos series. So today is long exposure. We are going to edit pictures you've sent in. There is a guide in the Google Drive folder. So if you are new to long exposure, or it's something you don't do a lot of, the little 20-pager that I put together will kind of give you some basics on that. I've actually written a book about long exposure as well, so there's a link to that in the guide towards the top. So if you're interested, I've got a book called Take Your Time, which just goes into the details in a bit more detail. So that's that. Right. So as always, just make this a conversation. No such thing as a silly question, and we'll play. If you'd like me to try something different or go over something again or whatever, just shout out. I'll open the chat as well. So if I miss anything important, somebody pull me up and we can go back to it or whatever.
Sorry,
Okay.
Joe, I don't know if
Are
we've
you
got any...
going to record this?
It is recording. Yes, it is recording.
Oh, it is. I just don't see the recording thing.
Yeah,
which I
no,
usually do.
there's a little dot in the cloud showing that it's recording away.
Is that
They've
Dot
moved-
Ward in the
Sorry.
cloud?
Taking my name in vain again.
No, not little dot. No, my little red dot. Yeah,
I'm in red today.
red today. Are you? Are you?
They've moved the recording little sign to the top right. It used to be top left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
gee,
you,
they're
Godfrey.
trying to confuse you, Pam.
Joe?
I'm easily confused, Joe. You know that.
Mel,
Joe,
we-
are there any new people here today? We forgot to just check if
Yeah,
anyone.
I don't know. Is anybody new? Has anybody not been to one of these sessions before? I think
I haven't been to any of your sessions on.
Really?
No, the only thing I've been to, Joe, was through my photo club when you
Oh,
were
right.
doing Lightroom.
Right. Well, welcome to the.
Welcome, Leslie.
Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah, great. Well, you know the drill then. So nice and friendly, and questions and comments and everything encouraged. So fantastic. Yeah. Well, no, we're a happy little band here, Leslie. So we do this once a month and a different theme each month. We've got sessions out now to December, I think, haven't we, Mel?
Yes, I've just released those last week. Some people have found them, so as I said in my email, there's no rush, but they're there if you want to book up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, a bit late.
No problem, Steve. That's good. Good to see you. So yeah, I mean, before each session, if you get a chance to upload an image or two into the Google Drive, then it gives me something to play with, for that session, and we'll see how many of them we can get through. So are you all seeing Lightroom okay, and are you all hearing me okay? Is my audio?
Yeah.
Good.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Right, well, let's just have a look through what everybody sent then. So I'll just press L and L to turn all the lights off on Lightroom there. So these are the raw files that people have sent. That's the Skelligs, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Okay. Lovely. I'm sure the shard isn't normally that way up. But we'll have something about that. Yeah. And that's probably not the normal view, is it? Right, okay. Well, golly, what are those in them? They're not jellyfish, are they? Or is it just stones? What amazing.
Stones, I think.
Well, they're just stones, yeah. Lovely. Wow. Super set.
Yeah.
Okay. So L, and then we'll bring in the left-hand panel again. So I mean, let's turn those two round. So you can do this to more than one at once. So just click and then Command and click or Control and click. So we've got those two selected, and you see at the bottom I've got those little arrows. So we can just rotate those now, and that rotates them. So that's easy to do in the library view. Okay, what's catching my eye? Well, I mean, let's do Denise's pier. Yeah, Denise. So let's see what we're going to do here. Okay, is this Brighton? It is Brighton, is it, Denise? Looks like you're nodding there. Yeah. My South Coast piers is not good. I'm not particularly well up on them, but okay. So if you press the I key in Lightroom, it gives you information about the image, and you can press it 3 times and it cycles through those 3. So if you press this twice, we're going to get some information about the image. So this was a 30-second exposure at f11, ISO 100 and a 34mm field of view. Okay, so for those, if any of you are not really up on or familiar with long exposure photography, generally one of the things we're trying to do with long exposure is capture some kind of movement. So in this case, the sea is going kind of steely grey, with the individual waves are disappearing, and we're getting that lovely kind of flowy look from the water. Because you're almost certainly on a tripod at a 30-second exposure, or if not, you've got your camera sat on something so it's not moving. You always want your ISO to be as low as possible. Okay, so because generally the reason you would raise your ISO is to lower your shutter speed, to give you a faster shutter speed in dark light, a club where you're shooting or something like that. But here we're out in the outdoors, we're on a tripod. So if you have control of the light, always shoot at the lowest ISO that your camera will give you, your base ISO. Some cameras give you something slightly under the base ISO. Don't use it unless you have no other option, because all that's doing is using the camera's software to kind of simulate a lower ISO. So basically the best ISO to shoot any camera at is its base ISO, and it's normally either 100 or 200. That's most cameras' base ISO. The Nikon D810 has a base ISO of 64. That's one that's not quite normal, but normally it's 100 or 200. Okay. All right. So I mean, we've got this shot. I mean, normal stuff applies. I mean, the sky is, to me, a little brighter than I would like it. So I want to make a bit more of the sky, get some more of the blue back in the sky and stuff. The sea is rather lovely, but again, we might darken it off a little bit, and then we'll see where we go with that. I would maybe lose half the sky, and just because this is quite a wide kind of panoramic shot, leading us in from the right. We've got the groins, or whatever they're called, leading us in from the corner here, and the pier as well. So I'm going to do a crop first, and the reason you do a crop first is because it's going to change your histogram. So then if you're going to do a white point and a black point, your crop starts you off in the right place. I don't think we need to do any transforming. Everything, all the verticals look vertical. Let's just try the angle on the sea, and let's just see whether it's horizontal. We've only got the sea to there, so let's see. No, not quite. So it's always worth checking that line, because the camera club judges will generally pick up if there is if it is out. But yeah, all the verticals look good now. So then I'm going to go 16:9 while I'm here, and we'll keep the groins. And sorry? Oh no, I just got some background noise from someone. That's fine. Okay. So there we are. So that just gives us that slightly more panoramic look again. And one of the reasons I like 16:9 so much as well is that it's the widescreen TV format. So if you are going to project onto a widescreen TV, it fits perfectly onto that. Now, another thing that very often happens when we get into the mid to higher number aperture ranges is that we might get sensor spots coming in. Okay, so it's worth maybe just seeing whether we get sensor spots. Now they've moved the sensor spots tool, so it's under now the clone, heal, remove tool, but it used to be down here on the bottom on the toolbar, and they've recently moved it up into the left-hand panel. So if you've been looking for that tool and you didn't know where it was, yeah, it was worth coming, Leslie, just for that. So there it is, visualize spots. So if we pop the visualize spots on, we get this negative view of the image, and you want to start off with the slider over on the left hand side, and then just to check whether your sensor is clean or not, as you slide to the right, you'll start to see more and more of the image kind of go white, and any sensor spots, you've got a lovely clean sensor, Denny. Look at that. Yeah, you've obviously had the duster out before you went out, and you cleaned your sensor beautifully. So there's no sensor spots in this image, because they would be coming up as little donut shapes in the sky. Okay, so we're good there. So we can just tick that off. Okay, so that blob there is me with a mucky screen rather than you with a sensor spot. So there we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that. Now we've done our crop. If we press the J key, to highlight those two squares in the top right and top left hand corners. Okay, these are our blinkies. So we can see pretty quickly as we hover over, you know, when we press the J key. I mean, if we let's blow the exposure. So you see the reds show where you're blowing highlights. So we're good there. We've not really got any reds. This was showing us a little bit dark. So you see, if we were going to crush the blacks, it would be under the pier and in the groins. But that's fine. We don't seem to really have any issue there. So we've got a good, beautifully exposed, from a technical point of view, we have a perfectly exposed picture. I just think, for me, on my screen, I don't know about your screen, but the sky looks a little bit bright. So I think we need to probably take the sky down a little bit. So let's see whether we can do that. I think probably the best way is just to do a sky mask. So we'll let it do the mask and show that it's not picking. Oh yeah, it's having a little think. There we go. Okay, so we seem to have a reasonable mask going on there. Now, a little trick with sky masking, because sometimes what I find is that the sky mask does a pretty good job, but sometimes it kind of picks a little bit of the subject and stuff. A way of refining the sky mask would be to now come in to that mask and subtract the subject. Yeah, because it's going to pick, I think, this as the subject, isn't it? So let's just try it and see what happens. And before we do that, I'll just make the mask a bit more opaque so we can see it really clearly. Okay, so there's our mask for the sky. Okay, so let's just, if we subtract the subject, let's see what happens. Boom. Yeah. So you see, it had put in some of the buildings in that mask. Now it's also missed a few bits. You see here, down there, that's not in the mask. So you know, you've got to kind of, you never want to believe these masks. Yeah, I know it's AI, but it's artificial intelligence. It doesn't mean it's super intelligence. So you do need now to run around and maybe check. Now we might not need to. Let's see whether kind of we need to clean that mask up completely or not. So if we just turn the overlay off, because all I really want to do is just bring a bit more detail out in the sky. So let's do a dehaze on the sky, and you see that'll immediately kind of separate the sky from the clouds a little bit. Just move it up to say 20 or 30, and then I don't know, our texture's down, and then I don't know, maybe let's just pull the exposure back a little bit on the sky. And you see, we just start to get the sky back a bit, which is perhaps what we want. Yeah. We can just play with the different tonal sliders and see what we get. Now, it's quite easy to overdo this, but that's giving us a good bit more than we had before. And if we want to just see before and after on that mask, you can just use that little eye. Just hold the eye down, and that shows you what it looked like before the mask and what it looked like after the mask. So that's a nice little tool. Anytime you see an eye anywhere in Lightroom, you can just click on it and it'll show you the before and the after for whatever the tool is or the area, because you also see eyes dotted around. So you see, look, there's an eye above the tone sliders. So whatever you do with the tone sliders, you could click on that eye and it will like show you without the tone sliders moved and then with the tone sliders moved and stuff. So there's eyes dotted around all over now. Okay, so that's rather nice. Now let's do a separate subject selection, and that's probably going to pick up quite well. Yeah. It's done a fairly good job on that. Now let's say that I just want the pier as my subject selection. Okay. Now you see it's picked up other bits as well, and it's not given us the tops of those houses and things. So again, we're going to have to play a little bit. So I'm going to subtract the background Now let's see whether that gives us the detail under the pier back. It's given us a bit more back there, but it hasn't given us the detail under the pier. And if I subtract sky, will it give me that little bit back? Let's have a look. Okay, so that's cleaned up the tops a little bit. So to do a better mask of the buildings, we need to add these bits in again here. So we're going to need to add to our mask with, say, an object brush. So go to the brush there, out of those two, and we don't want too big, but we just want to just brush around that building, this bit here, and just say, find that for me, and just add that to the mask. Okay, so it's done a reasonable job, but we need to do another one on the rest of it. No, it's determined not to do that building. Oh, well, it's done a bit more. Okay, well then I'm going to add with a brush and put the auto mask on and just see whether I can add the rest of that in there. And hopefully the auto mask, yeah, you see if I'm careful, as I run along the top of that roof, the auto mask is just not bleeding into the sky, or hopefully not. Okay, there we go. So that'll do. I'm going to subtract from the bottom. I don't want these in, so I'm going to subtract with a bigger brush this area here. I don't want this. Turn auto mask off and then it'll just get rid. Now, give me another way of getting rid of all the area under the pier that isn't the steelwork. What can we do?
Could you select luminance or colour?
Yeah, so we're going to use an intersect mask. Okay, so the intersect tool allows you to create a second mask to eliminate stuff from the first mask. Okay, so our first mask you can see is the blue. Is it blue or is it purple? Is it blue? Yeah,
Blue.
The blue mask, yeah. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do an intersect on that. So we can either go up to the three dots or we can hold the Option or the Alt key down and get the intersect button. Both the same, okay? Click, and then we're going to go for a luminance range mask, okay? Because the stuff under the pier is much brighter than the legs of the pier. So we'll be able to select that based on brightness. Yeah. So we're going to choose a luminance range, and now we get our luminance range up here. So we can either manually do this by eliminating the dark areas by pulling from the left, or we can just go in with our dropper under the pier, and we can just put the dropper into the kind of brightness that we want to get rid of, and that will give us a start. So if I click in here between those two dark lines, yeah, it will sample the brighter background, and then it will adjust this luminance range to match that sample, and we'll see most of the brightness get taken away. Click. Okay, so let's see. So that's saying it's not done. Oh, look, right, okay. So that's getting rid of. So it's picked now up this area here, yeah, for this new mask. Now I don't want the tops to be excluded, but that's actually going to get rid of a good lot of our stuff underneath, which is rather nice. So let's see what we can do to tweak that a bit. And then so we can just move these around. So the vertical lines are our main tones, and then the little house icons to the right and the left of the vertical lines are the feather. Okay, so we probably don't want a whole lot of feather around our main tones because those lines are pretty clear, aren't they? So that's kind of okay, but it's still not giving us quite what we want. So let's now that's better, you see. So as I move it that way, we eliminate a lot more from the mask, but we're losing all our tops as well. So this is not quite working as I want it to. So I might cancel this luminance range mask, and let's try it a different way. So mask 2, luminance range is off. So how else would we do that? Let me just come out again. So into the masks, we've got our subject, which is, we'll just call that the peer. Peer. We'll delete our luminance range mask. We show the overlay for the peer. So I just want to get rid of these brights. Well, maybe I've got to create a different mask then. Maybe I've got to just do a brush mask to start with.
Wow.
Okay, on this bit underneath. Show the overlay as I'm brushing. Yeah, okay. No, that's silly, isn't it? I just want to get rid of it under the peer. Come back to the peer. Let's just remove the bottom of the peer from this, and then I'm just going to brighten up the bottom. That will probably be a better way of doing it. Okay, so with a linear gradient, I'm just going to draw a line up here, and I'm going to say I just want to remove everything, say under that line there. Where's my line? There's my line. Make it the line of the peer, and then bring it up a bit. And that's a subtract, isn't it?
7687.
Did I add it, or did I make it an add, or did I make it a subtract? I made it an add. Subtract linear gradient. Oh, that's better.
Hello, Ruth. Now.
I'm not quite going mad then. It's just okay, there we are. Right, so now we've just restricted our mask to that top bit of the peer. Now I can turn the overlay off, and we can just play with that top bit of the peer now ourselves. So a little bit of texture just to give us those lines. Clarity will whiten the whites and darken the darks, and just give us a little bit more pop. You don't want to do too much, but just maybe a little bit more.
So in London.
And then
In London.
now, who have we got unmuted? Is it Bernard?
Bernard.
I'll just mute him. There we are. Okay. And I mean, maybe I'm just going to push maybe saturation just a tad, and just to push the colours of those the roofs and the bits of blue and stuff, and it just pops it out a little bit more. So are we seeing a lot of difference? We're seeing just a little bit of difference before and after, something like that. Yeah, I don't know that I would do an awful lot more to that. We've just brought the background out. We've popped the pier a little bit. The sea is wonderful. I mean, we don't need to do anything to that. I mean, it could be a black and white, but I don't know whether. Yeah, I mean, it would work as a black and white as well because of the form. And if you did go black and white with it, then if you came down into the black and white and pulled the sky color down, which is probably just blue, isn't it? Yeah, it is. You could kind of get, and that balances maybe that dark area here a little bit more. So there's another way of processing that, Denise. So, and then what was your vision for this, Denise?
Just to look better than it did. It was done on. I'd never done long exposure before, and this was the only one that turned out wasn't blurry all over. So I was quite pleased that I had at least one that I could put up today. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Super. Well, thank you for sending it. That was lovely.
So really, Joe, can I just quickly ask a question? So really, you were just manipulating the effects, weren't you? You weren't, looking at the highlights or anything like that.
It was beautifully exposed. It didn't need that really. I mean, all we needed to do was just pull the sky down a little bit. So this is the thing, selective masking on an image. You don't necessarily, when the image is perfectly exposed to start with, you don't necessarily need to play an awful lot with the exposure values. You just need to look at the different elements that you've got in the image and see whether there's any of the elements need a little tweak. And the only element really that needed a bit of a tweak was the sky on this image, because it had effectively blown out a good bit. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Super. Okie dokie. So that was rather lovely. So what else? This one is a challenging one, isn't it? Whose is this? This is the one that came in late, isn't it? So this is Peter's, is it?
No, it's mine.
Richard, sorry.
Yes.
Richard. Okay. All right, Richard. Lovely. Right. So D for develop. Let's just hit. Why am I getting that horrible blue?
Underexposed.
No, it's the showing that some of this has gone to complete black. You see, we've got our highlights showing in the top right hand corner. Press the J key, all that goes away. Okay, so it's just showing that the blacks, these have gone to complete black. Okay, when you hover over that little square, it's just showing that, which for a nighttime shoot is absolutely fine. Yeah, so there's no problem with that. Now, what I'm going to do is something a bit mad. I'm just going to raise the exposure a bit like this. Okay, I just want to make sure that I can find the horizon line, because I think it's a little bit on the slush. So I'm just going to go in and try and fix that first. So there, I think, is the horizon line, isn't it? Something like that.
Trouble is, it's a river coming towards you.
Right. Okay. But it's still bugging me.
Oh yes, so I had a great. I hate lakes and rivers because your eye tells you it should be straight, and reality tells you it's perspective.
Yeah, and it's a wide-ish angle lens, and we've got a little bit of keystoning going on, because if you look at that building there, and then you look at those verticals of the reflections, they're slightly out. So maybe we just drop into transform very quickly and just pull a vertical line there for that building, and then run a vertical up there and just sort our verticals as well. Yeah, and then we can do our horizontal along there. So we've got our kind of horizontals and verticals sorted. Okay, and that's the done button. I just still don't know why Adobe got rid of the done button instead of that. Right, so let's pull our exposure back now to where it was. There's nothing up here. So, I think we need to make a lot more of the fireworks. So let's now crop. And I'm going to go 10 by 8. It could be square, it could be 10 by 8, but it certainly wants to be something that just focuses probably on the fireworks. Now, we want the whole thing, don't we? it's too bright at the moment, but we certainly want the whole thing. So let's maybe try that, and then we can just darken this off as it comes down. Okay, so you see as we pull the exposure back now, that stuff in the corner just disappears. So there we are. We're getting a kind of slightly different look to this now. In terms of color balance, I mean, it maybe looks a little bit orange to me. So we could cool it a little if we wanted to. Or you can kind of go crazy with the colors. I mean, it's completely up to you. I mean, fireworks are all kinds of different colors, aren't they? So, you know, it's difficult to know what is right. So this is very much a subjective thing, I think. I'm just going to close the door. Right, there we go. So that's that. I don't know about the boats on the left-hand side. This area here, to me, draws the eye away from the fireworks. I think it's distracting. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but for me, my eye, that area there is distracting on the left. So I might try and just drop that out with a, I don't know, a radial filter or something. No, that's a linear gradient. Delete that. Greater radial gradient, please. Oh, I don't want the blue winning spinning wheel of death. Why is it doing that? There we go. Create a new mask. Radial gradient. Just pop a radial gradient over that area there. Now, you see it's given me a very small circle and then a bigger circle. The smaller circle is the area that the full effect goes into. So, and we've got a lot of feather going on here. So I want to open that small circle out a good bit to cover most of that chunk there, because that's what I don't want kind of visible. And then let's just pull down the exposure in that area and just kind of darken it up. Now you see we've got to be careful because it's giving us a blacker black than the rest of the image then. So that's not going to work. Let's pull highlights down and let's just see whether we can just pull down the lights a bit more, maybe, or the whites. Can we do it that way? Still giving us a patch of black, isn't it? Yeah, so we might have to go in very carefully and, you know, just mask this off line by line, if you like, you know, just go in big and just draw along these and just get rid of them or whatever. Maybe the new Gen remove might do a good job here. So if we got rid of that, let's just see whether it'll just get rid of this for us. Can you just get rid of this area for us, please? When you do anything that's got reflections in with generative remove, you've got to include the reflections. And, you know, shadows, if you've got shadow gen remove and stuff. So then we'll apply that and just see whether that will do anything for us. Okay, so it's got rid of the horizontals, and now we've just got some verticals maybe to get rid of. So that might be better. Let's have a look. Z. Yeah, it's not as distracting as it was before. So something like that. Yeah. I might even come in now with the crop and just pull that in a little bit more, make that a bit more centered. Yeah. Yeah, just try and get it in the middle. Now, I should have used the overlay, shouldn't I? Yeah, because I was trying to get it centered. So just pick an overlay that would pick up the middle of the fireworks there. That's about right. There we go. And again, maybe another gen remove on this here. Just see whether we can get rid of those. Don't know, is that big enough? Let's try it and see. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Close. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I would do with it. Richard, anything like what you were thinking about, or did you send a before and an after?
I sent an after.
Now, let's have a look. Oh, there we are. So you've gone square.
I went square.
Yeah, lovely.
Because I like square.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I lost the boats on the left-hand side. I got rid of quite a lot of the stuff above the top of the river. You can see there's lots of building lights and things.
Yes, you've gone in and got rid of all that. Yeah, nice.
And the boat on the right-hand side, I just dimmed down a bit because I tried to do it. It's before generative fill. I couldn't actually get rid of it any more than that. And I think I probably took the exposure down a fraction more than you had.
Right.
Because I wanted to get rid of the smoke around the fireworks.
Right.
The problem was it was long exposure on I was on a boat that was moored, luckily for me.
There was a bit of movement going on as well.
And so I was trying to get the reflections in the water, and that's about 3 sets of fireworks captured in one exposure, because it was, I think it was 28 seconds or something, to try and
yeah. And if I
try and
can
get that to work.
I mean, another thing that I didn't do that you could try to kind of clarify those fireworks would be clarity. So you see, clarity will kind of get rid of a lot of the smoke as well. So that gives you see the lines kind of get sharper when you clarify, and then if we pulled the exposure down to get rid of more of the smoke, to say where it was at the start, that clarity slider would just bring up it would make the firework lines pop. Can you see they're just brightening up a little?
Really good.
Yeah. So clarity is always good in these situations as well. There's later on we'll have a look at that starscape one with the sky with the big starscape in, and again, clarity and dehaze can do magic in these situations. So play with them and see what they give you. But yeah, lovely.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to see what you can do. It's fascinating how fast processing is moving.
Yes. Yeah.
True.
Cool. Okay. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Come back to the unedited ones so that I don't spoil. Well, we talked about that starscape. This is, I think this is South Africa, isn't it? So.
Yes, indeed it is. It's Cedarburg, just up from Cape Town.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My wife was born just down the road from there, in Constantia. So.
Oh, right.
I know this guy quite well. So this is lovely. So what's the 30-second exposure? Okay, nice wide lens. Yeah, 2.8. Now this is a TIFF. Have you played with this already, David, or is this kind of straight out of camera?
I just not been happy with what I did with it. No, that's the raw file.
That's the raw file, right? Okay, yeah. And lovely. So you've got the shop is beautifully exposed, but you've also got the sky, amazing sky as well. So that's really. Did you light paint the shop, or was there a light shining on it, or?
Yes, there was. It was a special event put on, and the guy did it had a light that went away from the subject onto the mountains behind. so
Absolutely.
that it was very diffused, you know.
Yes.
But this was my first attempt at ever doing astrophotography. So,
And you got the lovely Milky Way core kind of coming across the screen. It's just wonderful, isn't it? It's just magic when you see this for the first time, you know, on one of your images, isn't it? It's great. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this. Clarity and dehaze and texture are great in these things. So dehaze will darken the background of a starscape, and it will also help you to start to get rid of the kind of yellowy, greeny, kind of orangey artificial light, because normally it would be kind of more black and blue than orangey. So you'd probably pull the temperature back a little bit so that you start to get more of that kind of a color in the Milky Way, rather than, as you see, this kind of orangey one that you'd get there. Okay, so we normally pull back a little bit there. You've got a lot of brights, so if you play with the blacks and kind of get the deep back sky to start to go to black, it's going to allow you to bring forward the stars, and clarity now just becomes your friend, because clarity darkens the darks, brightens the brights, and with a big starscape like this, you can see that the clarity just has, you know, a crazy effect. So it's really just playing with these different sliders until you get something that you know looks kind of how you want it. And at the moment, I'm working on the whole image. I'm not working on just the sky here. Okay, because you know we've got lots of brightness here, so it's not really playing there. The tree, fine. You know, even with that temperature change, the tree is still looking, you know, reasonable. Because that's actually the color of the sky. It's not that color, the sky. It's more near to this color. So if we did just a temperature thing on the house, on the front of the house, that's probably white, or just near white. So that would give us a fairly good temperature check, color temperature check. Yeah. So you just use the temperature slider, click on this. Now that might make that a little bit too white, so we may warm it up just a tad, but that's getting you nearer to the general color that you want to probably be at, something like that. Okay, and then it's just a matter of playing until you know you get something that kind of is something like. So the clarity can go overboard, but I mean this core is wonderful. Some people like to accentuate the kind of the core of the Milky Way more. So in which case, you know, what you tend to do there is just throw a radial gradient around that area. Yeah, and then invert it, and then just darken off everything but that. Yeah, and you know, as you do that now, you can bring out more or less. And if we show that overlay, yeah, I mean, probably feather it a bit more. Yeah. And then you could remove the house perhaps from that, you know, just to make the house pop. Might even be that the house would be the subject. Let's see. Boom. Yeah. So that just takes the house out of the mask, and it's just missed the chimney a bit there. So just maybe brush the chimney out as well from that darkening mask, something like that. Just, you don't have to be too exact on that. So now if we just turn that overlay off and just take that exposure back up a little bit more. There we are. So you can darken or brighten that a little bit more. But it just focuses the eye more on that galactic core, which is what you don't want to. You don't want to bring the hills out anymore. So yeah. So where does that take us from before to after?
Way different.
Yeah, there we are.
And to be fair, more what I saw with my eyes.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with a 30-second exposure, you're not really seeing what the photo is going to show.
Oh no. And I mean, this is one of the beauties of long exposure. It's why I mean, when I do my long exposure talk, I say one of the reasons I love long exposure is that it's this delayed gratification. We're so used to kind of click, chimp, see what we took, aren't we? Whereas actually you have to wait with long exposure for 30 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it is. And then it's a surprise. It's like when the film used to come through the door, isn't it?
What I call serendipity, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. And, you can have all the calculators about, from 30th of a second, 10 stops, that's 30-second exposure, but it's all plus or minus, and it depends on your lens and your filter and the light that's changing during your exposure and all the rest of it. So long exposure is an art, not a science, even though there is some math involved. Yeah. So yeah, did any questions on what we did there, or is that kind of reason?
No, to be fair, I'm a person who loves to do less and less adjustments. Yeah. So that's my big problem when working with either Lightroom or Photoshop. And I've got to learn to do more adjustments. But I think what I need to learn is the small adjustments are the problem, or the solution rather. I think I do a lot of photographic judging down here. And most of the photos I see are or overexposed or over-adjusted, and I teach some people 5 or 10% does the best job, seemingly to me. I don't know if you agree.
Less is more. Yeah, less is more.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
I just wonder, Joe, is it, and perhaps David, is the tree a bit dominant, and would it be if that was my eye keeps being drawn to the tree all the time?
Yeah. So if we let me just come back in here then. Are we in developer or are we in yes, we are. Right. So so if we throw a radial filter on the tree maybe and just darken it off a bit.
That's the trouble with the reflected light. It was already panoramic. Yeah.
But again, if you took a radial filter here and just pulled that down, and soften it up a bit. Now the tree isn't.
And you can see the stars behind the tree now.
Behind the tree now as well. Yeah. You could also just desaturate that a little bit, the tree, because I mean it's that very bright green, isn't it? Whereas if you just desaturated it a little bit, and then we don't even maybe need to go quite as dark, because it just doesn't jump quite as much. And you could even do the same with the house, so that it picked up the house quite well, didn't it, as the subject? So let's just give the house a mask. Yeah, and if we did want to just darken that down a little bit so that we can still see it, but that white is not quite as white. Now we're clearly making the sky the star of the show.
What my eye kept going to, which it always does if there's writing, is the writing on the house. I'd take all that writing out and the little notices on the doors and the open sign and just have it as if it looked like a house rather than a farm shop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But with the tree, couldn't you select the green?
You could.
And then reduce the luminance?
You could, yes, and then that wouldn't affect kind of the sky behind it. So let's try that then. So rather than doing our luminance mask, let's create a new mask. We'll do a color range first, and we'll pick the green of the tree. And let's see what that gives us as a mask. Show the overlay. So at the moment it's giving us everything. So let's just refine that down. Yeah, it's too much still. Okay, so let's come back to that mask and get rid of that one. Delete. Okay, so let's try that again. Color range. I kind of want just that greeny color, don't I? See what that gives us. Show the overlay. Oh, that's better. So you see I've, oh, undo, Command Z. And then Z to come out. Right, so there's the tree selected a bit better. And then, so there we are. We just pull it back. So now we've just got the green of the tree selected, or most of it. And if I turn that overlay off now, we can just darken that off. And you see the sky you can see the sky shining through still.
Yes.
It's not affecting the black, is it? So there we are. We just darken that green a bit. And then maybe just desaturate it a bit as well. Something like that. Yeah, and that just takes the eye away, doesn't it? A little bit more. I might need to refine that green out a bit more. And you could add more colors by zooming in and just finding some of those brighter bits as well. Yeah, so you hold the shift key down and just add other single colors. You see these very bright greens up here. Just go and find a few of them and just darken them off as well. And you can add up to 5 colors to a color range. That's it. There we are, 5. Okay. So we come out to Z now. That's really, got rid of the tree, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Is it possible to straighten the door? Because of the way it's angled up, the building's falling over backwards.
Yeah, we can do a transform on the building. So there's one. And these buildings are not perfectly straight.
No, that's unfortunately the case. It was sliding down.
But there we are. There's straight now. And then if we do a horizontal on the roof as well, just to straighten everything, boom, and then done, and then do a crop. Now, just to bring in.
Wow.
So I'm going to make it. So I'm going to open the lock, and we just come in here, and say here, and then just give it a little bit more panorama. Don't need all that space at the top. There we go. Before, after.
Yes.
Yeah. A little trick, David, if you are shooting the night sky and you want to get those blues kind of straight out of camera, is set your white balance to flash.
Oh, right.
And so flash or fluorescent lighting will give you the blues much better. The blues and blacks much better. Yeah, you should almost never be shooting with a white balance of auto, because the camera's changing every shot. So choose cloudy or sunny or whatever, and then you can adjust the whole shoot in one go. But to get it as right as you can in camera when you're doing these astro shots, flash or fluorescent will give you closer to what you're seeing with your naked eye. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean that depends to some extent as well on the ambient light, because if you've got street lights, for instance, very often they're throwing out an orange light. So then you might kind of say, right, well, give me a cloudy white balance, because that will offset the orange light being thrown up. So it kind of depends how much ambient light there is around, but certainly if you're shooting in a dark skies area, choose flash or fluorescent. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. You know what that timer was, don't you?
Coffee time.
That was the scone. Yeah. So we will take a quick 10-minute break and go and get your coffee or your scone or whatever, and then we will return. Okay. See you in a minute. I'll stop the share. There we are.
So you're in, Gordon.
I am.
There we are. Back for part 2. Whose is this one?
That's me.
That's Stephen. Okay. All right. Okay. So the classic problem with long exposure, slightly overexposed whites. So if we D for develop here, come along. D for develop. Okay, and bring in right-hand panel. Don't think we need to do any transforming on this one. So again, technically, it's correctly exposed. We're not actually blowing any highlights by the look of it. No, there's no blown highlights. But visually, it's too bright. So I think just back the exposure off by half a stop or whatever. Just to bring that in a little bit more. But what we really want is we want some more detail in the water and in the whites and stuff like that. So highlights just pulls the whites down and starts to give you a bit more detail. Yeah. Dehaze can help with water, because that will darken the darker water. Okay. And then a bit of clarity will start to give you lots more detail. And and it depends. If you want to go kind of quite painterly and quite ICM looking, you've got this kind of, we've gone from kind of that flat look to this, kind of bit more detail in the water there and stuff. Okay. The other challenge you have when you're shooting longer exposure, particularly near foliage, is this happens to the foliage. The foliage moves because you've had whatever, however many seconds exposure this was. So the what is it? Oh, it's only a fifth of a second, this one. Okay, so fast moving river, but probably quite a windy day, because we've still got movement in those ferns and things. So a little technique when you're shooting shots like this is shoot one shot at your regular exposure. Okay, so that might be 60th of a second, 125th of a second or whatever, and that would freeze the action, if you like, in your foliage, and then shoot another shot at your longer exposure that would allow, for instance, here the water to move or whatever, and then you could just combine the two in Photoshop and just mask back in the stuff that you don't want to be blurry, if you like. So this is how you get a bit more out of the water. And I mean, you could play with the blacks as well here. Now that's going to darken. I mean, I'm doing full the whole image here, so that's darkening the background quite considerably as well, which we probably wouldn't want to do. So what you might do now is I'd probably just do a quick brush mask, to be honest, and just brush the bits that I wanted to darken. Put a big brush up and just run across this area. Where's my overlay? Yeah. So just brush over the river bit. I think this is what I want. Come on. Got a bit of a lag. But now we're just avoiding, if you like, the background. Yeah. And now if I play with the blacks now, it's just going to affect the river and not the background, you see. because of that. But you can get much more definition from that water now. If you wanted to, you could pop the whites a little bit, but I don't think we do because you're going to blow them. But this just allows you to play a little bit more now with the look of that. Yeah. Steve, what were your thoughts on this? What's your vision for this one?
Really have too much of a vision. I did take quite a number of shots. So I in the sense that I did a number of others, Joe, that were much longer exposure and got a very milky one. But I quite liked. It seemed quite dramatic, some of it, and what you've done, I think, is then just bringing that out much more, because obviously at the time when you look at the raw file, it's a bit too smooth and a bit too. There's no real character in it at that point. So
yeah, I mean, I've overdone it. You know, I mean, David is looking at this and shaking his head and thinking, "What?" But
I like it. I think it makes it much more dramatic. And I take on, that's an interesting one. I didn't think about that. The taking two exposures in order to get the foliage a bit different. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's just a little trick, but certainly if you're on a tripod or you're able to hold the camera in roughly the same position, then aligning the two shots isn't too difficult then. So
good.
So really, there's nothing you can do about the foliage now. Then
No, not on that one. No, I mean even Topaz won't rescue that. It's Topaz can do a little bit of de-blurring and de-movement blur and lens blur and stuff, but a fifth of a second, no, that's kind of something you've really got to do, I think, in camera. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's a limit to what we can do, even with Steve.
Thank you, Joe. That's brilliant. I like that.
Super.
Would there have been any advantage in focusing more towards the bottom of the picture than the middle?
In why, Richard? What difference would focus made?
The trouble with long exposure is that I know everything goes blurry, but sometimes I sort of want to see more blurry. It looks out of focus at the bottom. It's just me.
Yeah, well, I mean, a fifth of a second. I mean, depending on how many drinks Steve had the night before, his hands might have been quite shaky as well. So there's maybe a bit of an ICM stuff going on here as well. I mean, that's where incorporating something like a rock in a long exposure image can add something, because then you've got the clarity of the sharp rock and the detail of the rock, and then juxtaposed against that you've got the movement of the water going past, stuff like that. So this is okay, but it's lacking a subject.
Yeah.
Whereas if there was a nice boulder here for the water to kind of go around and whatever, and that was pin sharp, and you could see all the moss and the the lichen and all the rest of it, that would kind of add to a focal point.
You did right.
Yeah, point.
Yeah. So I mean, all the old standards of composition still apply. You need a subject. This is a nice moving water shot, but it kind of doesn't compel the eye because there's nowhere for the eye to rest. We're just swept away, with the image. So, boom. Okay. Godfrey, this is one of yours, isn't it? Just talk about that. I mean, I know it's an 8-second exposure. Were people walking through this and you were just trying to disappear?
No, they weren't walking through. This was on a tripod. It is about a mile away from me, under some lovely green fields, and it was basically what the Nazis had carved out during the war. It's a huge underground hospital. There are two long galleries like this, and then you can see their sort of side branches off joining the two galleries.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a black and white shot.
Oh, I have to say that's what I ended up with as well.
Really, really, okay. Because I mean, it's form, isn't it? It's form and line and stuff like that. So you know, yeah, I'd go very much go black and white with this. I switched into black and white there with the V key. For those of you that are still learning all the Lightroom shortcut keys, add that one to your list, Pam. Yeah.
Not so much learning them, Joe, it's remembering them.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
Indeed, and I'm still learning new ones. You know, I mean, I know I've got most of them down pat now, but I still find new ones every now and then, which I love to do. So with a shot like this, when you do a mono conversion, that's not the end of the road. You know, you need now to kind of push it a little harder. So have a look at the histogram and set the black point and the white point. So if we set the black point, shift and double click on where it says blacks, and you see it'll pull the blacks back a bit. And with blacks, you can normally go a bit further, particularly in mono shots. So I would pull these blacks back even more than the black point actually says, because I don't mind if some of those blacks go completely black. Yeah, you can break the rules here. You know, you can kind of like, you know, get that dark, foreboding kind of look. And now the blacks are really taking you down to the end. The whites you've got to be more careful with. So, I mean, we can't really go a lot further with the whites. We're going to, but you could just bright them up a little bit and it just gives you that extra pop. So just those two sliders. Yeah. Let's just go back to the black and white. So if we convert from black and white, you see that looks relatively flat compared to that, doesn't it? So upping the contrast when you're doing black and whites makes a lot of difference. And then, you know, if you wanted to, you could start, you know, doing Serge Ramelli's kind of complexifying the light. And, you know, so, I mean, let's say we darken the whole thing off a little bit like this. Yeah. Then, you know, if you wanted to start playing, you could maybe run a brush down or a long, thin radial gradient even. Okay. So let's just press the H key. So there's our radial gradient. Let's make a long, thin radial gradient. In fact, let's go back out to say, you know, 50%. Okay, now there's my radial gradient tool. So I can make it long and thin, and then I can move that and drag it around like this. Okay, so we can now run the light down to the end there. Okay, so if I now bring that up, you see, that's where the light's going to go. And now let's bring the feather in. Okay. So if I move that, you see, look what happens. Yeah. So you can kind of paint with the light, which is what photography means. Drawing with light. Yeah. And you could also, you know, perhaps pop a bit more texture on the ground as well. Get all that detail coming out. Now look at that. Yeah.
Can we see it a bit bigger now?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Go to fit. So there's your, so if we turn that mask off and on.
Fabulous.
Huge difference. Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, it's just telling a story, isn't it? You're just leading the eye in the image with a little bit of light where you want it. Yeah, because I mean that's fascinating. Look at the detail on that floor, you know, and you start to ask questions, don't you, about who's walked down there and what the stories were of all those people that have made all those, you know, marks on the floor and everything and stuff. And it's, or maybe that's me just being a bit sad. Yeah. but yeah. So play with the light. Did you send in a before and after?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I do have the after here. I mean, I can do a share screen if you want to, but
yeah, that was it. So
yeah, I had it even more black and white, to be honest, and I tried to get a lot of menace into it.
yeah, make it really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Danny, that was the last scone, but you can have the last
Thank
bit of
you.
it if you like. There we are. Could you shut the door, please?
There he is, gone.
I like my scones. So shut the door into the living room, please. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, but super shot. And I mean, you know, from a compositional point of view, we've got the converging lines going to that thirds point. You know, if we put an O, if we L, why is it looking for people? Boom, boom, boom. Why is it looking for people? Stop.
Well, I agree with it. I would like a person in there as well.
Yes.
And we do
wearing a red coat. Yeah.
We do have a group that do sort of put on displays dressed up as the Nazi troops and
reenactment.
Yeah. And one of those that they sort of own this now. It's open every day.
Right. Why is it? Oh, is it because I'm not in develop? That's why I'm not getting my O for overlay thing. Right. So the why are my O's not coming up?
Trouble with the rows. The two Ronnies had that.
There we are. Right, alpha crop. Right, there we are. Yeah. So if we put the thirds intersection point up, yeah. So you see that kind of line there. You know, the vanishing point is on the thirds point. I mean, classically you'd put it there, but it's absolutely fine. You know, it's on that thirds line. It's taking the eye away, stuff like that. So yeah, wonderful. H hides. That's it. All right.
What is the point of that one that shows a crossed lines? The ones going from corner to corner.
G. So alpha crop and then the overlays. So
I wasn't next. It's there somewhere. That's it.
Yeah.
What's the point? How would you use that one?
I think it just gives you a central. It's giving you diagonals and a central point, isn't it?
I see. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to a lot of these. I think they're all just, you know, some of them work with one image and not with another. Now that you see that one, this image works quite well with that one, and if you do the shift and O, then it gives you the other side of it, and this is kind of playing to that kind of pattern quite well, isn't it? So and H hides the overlays, so H hides them and O cycles between them. Lovely. Okay, that's good. Whose haven't we done one of? Guy. Have we got Guy in? Guy is in.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Which one would you like us to do, Guy? You've got a few in there.
That one you've just put your, that cursor. That's a favourite rock of mine. So.
Right. What's the first thing we need to do?
Straighten the horizon.
Yes. Straighten the horizon. So alpha crop takes us into develop and into the crop tool. And let's just do our angle on the horizon line and just run that line out there, and that fixes our horizon. Okay. There's not a lot in that sky, is there? I'm thinking maybe let's just go slightly wider, and we can lose that annoying little bit there by just pulling up very slightly. So now the rock becomes like almost a submarine or a sea monster, just taking us into that corner. Yeah, and we could even maybe, I don't know whether we can get that line just coming in from the corner. Yeah, whenever you can get a diagonal coming in from a direct corner, that's quite a strong compositional element. So you see there, we've just got that rock, because now the eye just is brought in from the corner and that line is taking us down to the subject. So that's nice, strong compositional kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
and then, you know, we can open this out as much as we can the other way then. So that's kind of there. That might be a slightly stronger compositional crop. Yeah. So let's do a dehaze, because we're in, you know, we're in a water environment, and dehaze is normally going to give you a little bit more from the water. So you see the water's darkening. Yeah, and look at the background. Look at the sea here with dehaze. So we go from quite a flat, and we're getting a bit more, and we're also getting a little bit more from the sky straight away. Okay. Clarity would give us much more out of the water. So you see, we're getting the water darkening, but it brings up all the lovely movement of the white coming up and stuff like that. And it's also giving us a lot more. Look what clarity's done. I mean, watch the rock here. No clarity. Clarity. Yeah. So I mean, on rock, clarity is just wicked. And then I think texture, I probably don't want to texture the water, although, I mean, it depends. Look, you see, if we texture everything comes into sharper focus.
Yeah.
Whereas if you want the water to be left quite kind of soft and fluffy, don't texture the water, just texture the subject. So then we'll just subject. And yeah, so it has chosen that as the subject. Yeah. So now we're on our subject. Yeah. We can maybe pull out a little bit of shadow detail. Okay, so you've got lots of detail to be brought out more from that wonderful rock. And then a bit of texture will just make it pop. Yeah. So let's see before and after on the texture and the brightness. So this is magic. And then if we went black and white, you can push it even harder now. So now on our mask, I'm going to maybe push the whites a little bit more, and that'll bring up any of the bright areas and give us even more contrast. I'm going to pull the blacks down a little bit. So now we've got that kind of contrasty, craggy look going on. Yeah. And I'm going to really push the clarity, because with black and white, you've got to be bold. Yeah. So that's really bringing the rock up and out of the rest of the image. We've left the water relatively soft, and now we've really clarified the detail on the rock, and it pops out of the sea much, much more than it was when we started. So does that give you any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have tried the black and white, interestingly, and it does make such a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So you went colour with it because of all the colours on the rock, did you? The mosses and things. Yeah.
Where was it? Where was it? The image taken, Guy?
It's Mevagissey in Cornwall.
In Cornwall. Oh, right. Yeah.
Mevagissey Harbour. And it's just, I just love the angle of it and the prominence.
It's a wonderful, strong line, isn't it? Kind of coming down. Yeah. So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a fine art print now, isn't it? It's kind of yeah. Print a few up and you'll stick them into one of the craft shops in Mevagissey. That's right. And a nice little Guy logo down in the bottom right-hand corner of the Guy, and you'll be a millionaire in no time. Yeah.
10% to you then, Joe, as well. Thank you.
Super. Wonderful. Wonderful.
I did like the way that the distant land on the horizon has been brought up, instead of being a rather vague line. It's now, much more visible. It's sort of holds the subject down, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be careful, because you do want there to be a slight fall off to give you distance. you know, because the distant stuff should be grayer because you're looking through more atmosphere, and it always should be a bit fainter. But I think that was you were almost losing it to the horizon there, weren't you? Whereas the dehaze cut through it to some extent. But I love the way the dehaze gave us the lines on the sea. I mean, that to me is always magic when we get those lovely lines from the different kind of sea conditions. So yeah, I mean, again, a really nice compositional feature here was that just touching the horizon line. Yeah, you know, if it had broken it by a half an inch or whatever, it wouldn't have been as strong. But it just touches that horizon line there, which is rather lovely. So yeah, there we go. Wonderful. Bum. Gordon. Which one will we play with, Gordon?
Shall we try the groin?
Right.
Yeah,
because they're both wonderful, but that one, yeah, okay. I think we need to lose the bottom. That fence is catching my eye. Don't like that much. I think we just need to twist it round a little bit. This. So if we half a crop and just rotate, yeah, just so that the verticals on the groins are vertical and that bit at the end there is vertical, and that's got rid of the annoying fence down at the bottom. So straight away we've got a bit more clarity, and you see what that rotator's done as well. It's given us our line from the corner. Yeah, so straight away we've gone from oh yeah, the before and after doesn't give you the crop rotation, but that's I think a slightly stronger composition now. Again, I think I would be tempted to take this straight to black and white. Now, look at the histogram. Lots of room to play on the right-hand side. So let's just set a white point, shift, double click. Okay, now that's too bright, I think, because we're going to lose detail in the water, but bring it back so that we get some. And then I want to pull the blacks down. But we don't want to lose the blacks in the groins because the groins are rather lovely and they're the darkest thing at the moment. We really want everything else, don't we, apart from the groins? So maybe let's do a subject selection, see what it gives us. Okay, so it's done a fairly good selection of the groins. Okay, so that's a subject. So we'll call that what, groins. That's how you spell them, isn't it? I think. And then let's just ask it to give us everything else. So click on the three dots, duplicate and invert the mask, and that'll give us everything apart from the groins. Yeah. So we'll call that, you know, background or C or whatever. Yeah. So now we're working on the background. So we can, I don't know, dehaze? Don't know. Let's see. Do we want to go bright? Yeah, if we go the other way, we're almost going to go for kind of, you know, fine arty on the groins and just pull them out completely. Yeah. And if we do that and we declarify completely the water, look at this. This is a very different look, isn't it?
Oh, I really like this.
Yeah. And then we could even, you know, raise that exposure a bit more, make this completely minimal. I mean, it's a definite look. You might hate this. You know, Gordon's never going to talk to me again. But it's a way of going. I think I quite like the look I'm getting here. And then with the groins, I'm just going to try and pull out a bit more detail on them. So let's just bring the texture back up on the groins. Let's just turn the overlay off so you can see what's going on. So, and you see, look, it's giving us all that lovely detail, and a bit of clarity will make the, I don't want them to go too much darker, so I'm going to counteract the clarity blacks with that, but the clarity is going to raise like the whites a little bit on the groins and just give us that contrast. So let's have a look at what we've done with the groins there. So that's without, and that's with. You see the difference?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I'd do with that one. Thoughts, Gordon?
Yeah, quite different from my approach. I went mono as well,
right,
and very traditional mono, and darkened the background, leaving the white foam at the front.
Yeah,
the area to attract your attention, and then the leading line out. So similar, very similar. I think actually it's not too sure, but there was some sensor spots as well on it. But,
all right, okay.
You can't see them on the on Zoom.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, there they are.
Yeah, there they are. So so again, you know, just pop into the visualize spots, and I mean, then I don't think they would come up on the print, but if they do, then you don't need the generative AI and stuff. That just slows things down. But just then, just pop a remove on each of those spots, and you know, after a second or two, they will just go away, as if by magic. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I must admit, I spend way too much time cleaning sensor spots, whereas I should really just bite the bullet and get my sensor cleaned.
Well, I spent a whole day doing this sort of photography. Came home, looked at it on the big screen, and went, "Oh dear,
oh dear, yeah."
Get your sensor cleaned.
I really do need a sensor clean. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So there we are.
That's good. That's very good. Thank you.
So, yeah. But yeah, that's nice now, isn't it? It's
very nice image, Gordon.
Yeah, super. So, but yeah, I mean, I just wanted to show you there the possibilities of going a slightly different way with dehaze and clarity and texture. Everybody tends to use them to the right, but they're quite powerful from a fine art perspective if you want to go to the left. Yeah, because you get this lovely, you know, soft, glowy look, which can have its place.
So. From a compositional point of view, would one delete the shadows of the horizontal members, but not exclusively, out of the picture? Any views?
Golly, now that would be a job.
Oh, yes.
It would, yes. It would maybe make it a little cleaner. In terms of visually, it would make it cleaner, wouldn't it?
I mean, at the far end, just before you get the upright, there's still a bit of the, in that area there, you've still got some of the sea. But I mean, that's fine detail, which you know.
You could go
today,
in.
Today it's not about, is it, cleaning that up, but as you were demonstrating a point. But I just wonder if anyone feels you should knock out all the shadow.
The shadows.
Yeah, no, I think it looks better with the shadows.
It gives it that 3D, doesn't it? Kind of effect.
Yeah.
Would it be better if it was flipped over? In other words, the diagonal coming from the other corner.
Interesting point, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'd have to try both and see which one you wanted. You kind of like to live with, wouldn't you? Yeah.
But as we tend to read from
left to right, that tends to be the stronger. That tends to be the stronger composition. But some judge would know-it-all judge would say, "Oh, that groin isn't that way round." Yeah.
I have discovered not to do that with anything with writing on it.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Super. I mean, the only other thing I wonder is whether I now would just drop it to maybe there. You know, you've got the same kind of distance around the end, because there's quite a lot of air there. I just wonder whether that might just round that off just a little bit more, you know, just have it kind of even in that corner.
I think that improves it.
It makes it stronger, actually. It definitely makes a stronger image then.
Yeah, but lovely. I mean, that's
it's very effective though.
Really.
Yeah, really like that.
No, thank you for the tip about the sea, because that will make me go back and take lots of pictures of groins now.
I hope we're talking the same kind of groins here, Richard.
Yes.
This man with a long lens on the beach.
I'll just get you to come as a character witness, don't worry.
That's right.
He told me to do it.
Wonderful. Okay. Who haven't we done?
That last one was the type of thing that I was trying with the Swanage Pier one. That I put in.
Dot, yeah. Okay, let's have a look at this dot then. Okay. I mean, very difficult composition, very difficult exposure, this one, because you're shooting into the sunset, and yet you're keeping your shutter open for how long? Yeah, 0.4 seconds. So I mean, that's tricky. So if we see, so let's pull the highlights down. Okay, yeah, look, so we've got you've managed to capture all the detail there, and that gives us color back. So pull those highlights down a little bit, and you know, if you needed to, you could also just bring the general exposure down a tad, but I don't think you need to. Let's just check that horizon line. So the top of the horizon you've got just above the wall. I think we're just off by a little bit, aren't we? Yeah. There we are. Again, I mean, I know it's me and you're probably sick of me going panorama, but I'm even going to go a bit heavier on the panorama on this one. I don't think we need this in the bottom right-hand corner. Don't think that's adding anything, so I'm just going to raise that until we get rid of it. Something like that. Make this nice and pillar box. Okay, so we've got colour back in our sky now. If we do a sky, let's start with the sky and move down. Okay, so we'll do the sky, and I'm just going to do a little bit of dehaze on the sky. And look what, I mean, I'll go too far, but I mean, look what dehaze gives us straight away. It's giving us much more sky detail, isn't it? And I rather like the detail in the clouds, so I'm going to try a bit of texture in those clouds as well. Or you could go, and if we do this, and then we apply a bit more of our softening technique down below, you know, we've got sharp and soft again, that difference going on. So if we just give the sky a little bit more texture, look, you see, we just bring out all those little details in the clouds, yeah, and we can maybe just even warm it up even more, just a tad warmer, just to bring that up even more. Okay, so there's our sky. Now let's do a subject mask and see if it gives us the pier. I think it probably will. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I want to add to that. I'll add using an object brush. Well, let's just try the rectangle brush and see whether it'll just give me the whole pier. See how bright it is today. Boom. Look at that. Yeah. So that's rather lovely. And now I'm going to subtract the sky and just see whether it'll give us the detail back in the, watch the top of the lighthouse. Okay, and let's see whether subtracting the sky gives us the clarity around the lighthouse mask. Boom. You see that? Yeah, little things like that are the difference between a really good mask and a so-so mask. So now we've got the pier and the lighthouse, so we can. Now it depends. I mean, if you want to, you could just bring this up a little bit, raise the shadows, and get some texture, some clarity going on the pier. And I mean, look, you've got tremendous detail now to be brought out there if you wanted that, or you could leave it as a silhouette like it was before. So we've got quite a lot of difference. If I turn that overlay off, come on Lightroom, right, let me turn that mask off and on. Yeah. So a lot of possibilities there in terms of what you want in your shot there. And then the last bit is the rest, isn't it? So let's do it this way, because this is easy to do. Let's do a linear gradient, and I'm going to pull it down from the middle. Hold the shift key and then just pull down, and that keeps it fully horizontal. All right, so I just want a very, very thin line, horizontal line here. Okay, now where's my overlay? Right, so at the moment that's the sky. If I flip that, if I invert it, it'll give me everything below the line. Yeah, and now I can just raise it up so that it's on the horizon line there. And now if I subtract using the object square, if I subtract the okay, so now I've got everything but the pier. Yeah, now there's a little bit there, isn't there? So I've just got to take that off with a brush. Just go in there with a brush and just rub that bit away. Okay, but apart from that, I think we've got a fairly good mask now going on for our sea. Turn the overlay off. So let's try then the texture and clarity here. So if we soften off the texture and the clarity of the sea and the dehaze. Yeah, I don't know whether it's going to work as well on this one, because we've got quite sharp edges on that line, haven't we? So I don't know whether we're going to be able to do that as effectively. It's unless I don't subtract the object. Let's just turn those off. Yeah, no, whatever we're doing is catching. What's this here? Is it no, I'm going to get rid of that mask completely. Oh, I know that's from this mask, isn't it? So because we've processed this up brighter, we've got that little halo coming up on the wave. So maybe if we brighten those waves slightly, we can reduce that halo. So let's have a look. Let's put those back in, But rather than doing that, let's bring the whites up on the waves. And just general exposure maybe. Yeah, so as the exposure comes up on the sea, it's lessening the difference here. And that becomes, yeah, you might have to go in with a little brush and try something there just to clear that out. But yeah, here I think it's a matter of probably just the contrast on the sea. Go the other way with dehaze a little bit, darken the darks, brighten the brights on the sea. Yeah, that's just bugging me. What can we do with that bit? Brush. Just brush a soft brush up there, and let's just see what we can do with it. I don't know.
Could you go back to your mask that you used just for the stonework and then work on that mask?
Work on you definitely could, yeah. I'm just wondering whether there's anything we can do with this, just this area. Is it a highlight issue?
Oh.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Baffled.
Yeah. Oh well.
Couldn't you just erase it?
We could. Yeah, I mean, we could do maybe a generative fill erase on that and just see whether that. Yeah, we don't need object aware, do we? But just let's see. Can I just get rid of that horrible bit there? What can you do for me? Magic. It's a kind of magic. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Right, 1. Don't like that option. 2 isn't giving us Lightroom. Oh, there we are. Lightroom's lagging a bit. That was 3. Yeah, I mean, there's possibilities here with this erase, aren't there? It's making changes in that area. So maybe try another 3 options. Just refresh, and that says have another go. Give me another 3. I maybe didn't give it quite enough space around the mask, but I think that's probably what you'd do. You'd use the erase tool as Peter. Was it Pete? No, it wasn't Peter.
Yeah, it was right.
Yeah, it was Richard. Yeah, whoever suggested. Yeah, I think you'd need to use a bigger erase brush there than that one. Just delete that and make it a bit bigger.
I found that if it's too difficult, sometimes erasing it helps.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, try a slightly bigger bigger brush and see. Oh, Doc, you do bring us interesting ones, don't you? That's wonderful.
Oh, this is not mine.
Is it yours? All right. Okay. All right. Whose is this?
Mine.
Oh, Peter's. Right. Okay.
And you can see that I did an edited version, so you can.
Right.
Is it one of those annoying pictures where you should have been a foot higher or a foot lower because there's a bit of horizon above the pier?
There is just a tiny little sliver,
which just annoys me. I'd either like to see more sea or no sea.
Should have taken the ladder with me.
Yeah. What I might do after that, then maybe now I've done my generative remove to get rid of that horrible halo line. Yeah, is I would just turn the H key off and I would just clone maybe a bit of wave now. So just take this area here and let's see whether we can just clone that from another area. So turn the H key out. So you see it's taking it from here at the moment. But if we took that from, say, down here and just got a bit more wave crashing in, played around with that, see whether we could get some kind of difference going on, or you might need to take a bit of the top of the wall from over here. Yeah, it's a tricky one, this. Yeah, no, nothing's working very well. I think
if you're going to remove it, isn't it?
yeah, it's a tricky one. You've stumped me. You've stumped me, Peter. But I think, given a bit of time, you could. I mean, we could clone from this wall here, say, and just run the wall a bit further. Maybe that would be an option. Just take a clone like that, and see whether we could kind of take that from. Oh, we're in. Yeah, no, we're in the remove tool there. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to spend any more time on that. Oh golly, it's 12 o'clock already. Look at that. Right. Well, I'm sorry we didn't get through to everybody's, but I think we did a reasonable selection this morning, didn't we?
Just on a general question, Joe, without spending too much time on it. When you're on the coast photographing out to sea, you've always got the problem of the contrast of the sky and the sea. Is there a case, therefore, as well as using an ND filter for a long exposure, to put a graduated filter, like a soft grad or a hard grad on as well?
Yeah, I mean, if you are facing into a high contrast scene, certainly, an ND grad on the sky will even out the difference between the sky.
Less of a problem later on. Yeah.
So if you want to just take one image, that's how you do it. Okay. What I do is I generally can't be bothered faffing around with grad. So what I tend to do is bracket.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll shoot a -2.
Yeah.
Center.
What a simple answer. Yeah.
A +2 or whatever, or maybe -4, -2, and and
yeah.
Something like that, and then HDR them later, and then you've got much more control over your sky and your foreground, and you don't have to faff with your filters then.
No, that's a simple answer to a.
Well, it's just another way of doing it. It's
good thinking. Yeah, good thinking. Yeah, thank you.
Super. Okay. I'm not. What have we got next week? I can't remember. Or next month? I can't remember. Mel, can you?
No.
Right. Let's have a.
I can go and look ever so quick.
I'm bringing it up now. So let's have Drive, Photo Talks, RPS. No, it's not the Affinity project. What are we in this? This is Let's Edit Photos, isn't it?
We haven't got anything in August, so it's September, isn't it?
It's September, isn't it? Right. So night shooting in September. Okay. So here's our running order for. So September is night shooting. I'm not sharing, am I?
No.
There we are. So September is night shooting. Macro and close up will be October. November the 11th is my birthday, so we've got events and occasions in November. And that, thank you for Steve for that one, because Steve suggested we did gigs and events and stuff. So I'm going to expect him to be sending us some shots in to play with as well for November, and then we'll do sports and action in December. And again, I'm going to need your help on sports and action, because I don't have many sports and action shots. So I'm going to need you to kind of bring those in so that we can play. And I mean, that takes us to the end of the year. But if there are other subject areas that you would like us to cover, I'm quite happy to carry on doing these talks, as long as we've got subjects to do. So feel free to tell me or Mel or whatever if there is an area that you would like us to cover that we haven't done, and we'll extend as needed. I think I'm okay saying that. I don't think Mel's going to beat me up too hard if we put a few more on. But you see, I can be in trouble now because I've got a meeting now with Mel and Janet to talk about next year anyway. So we can. I'd
like to suggest still life, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tabletop kind of the live stuff. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we'll add that to the list. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's an
The
interesting.
other thing, Joe, I would suggest is, have I turned my sound off? But
No,
since we started this a year ago, Lightroom has added a whole load of new features that would certainly be there could be a useful session which was just going through all the new updated features in Lightroom.
In Lightroom. Yeah, well, I can do that anytime. I mean, we tend to use a lot of the new features as we go along, don't we? But if you'd like just a session on, what's new in Lightroom in the last year or whatever, I just go through all the changes, then very happy to do that. Yeah,
I think that would be handy.
Yeah, to kind of go through the masking in a bit more detail, kind of logically, and just cover all the bits and all the rest of it. Yeah.
When
we'll make it.
You're looking at, sorry.
Hold on. Yeah.
So when you're looking at next year, maybe have a look at photo ephemeris.
Oh yeah, TPE and photo pills and yes, that's been on the list for a while. So I just need to get my finger out and do something about it.
Yeah, it's a very good one actually. Yeah,
I've played. I've never cracked it.
And for anybody who doesn't know what those two apps are, they're apps that you can plan things like landscape shoots because they tell you where the sun will be in the sky. That shot we did of the Milky Way earlier on, Photo Pills has this amazing option where you can just point your phone up at the sky and it will show you where the Milky Way is. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So you can be in the middle of the day or whatever, and then you can kind of advance it on to kind of like 11 o'clock tonight or whatever, and it'll show you where the Milky Way will be at 11 o'clock. So you can actually figure out, right, well, I'm going to need the camera here pointing in that direction, and you can figure out what your foreground is or whether you've got a building that you want or a tree that you want, in shot or out of shot and stuff. Really, really good for figuring out where things are going to be in the sky. So yeah, we can, that's a good idea. I mean, these are individual talks. Another thing that we're trying to focus on to some extent going forward with the digital imaging group is kind of the kind of longer form education thing, where we've done these series of 3 or 4 workshops or whatever that take you on a developmental journey of some kind.
Okay.
So any ideas on anything like that? I'm working up a family history one, so that we're looking at that, rescuing your old photos, your old album photos and that kind of thing. But we've done street, we've had the books and zines project where people are creating books and zines. We've done panels workshop. I mean, these are just mine. But there's probably other ones that I don't know that Mel and Janet have put on as well with other speakers. So if there is anything that you would like to explore over, say, 2 or 3 sessions or 4 sessions, that would take longer than just a 2-hour kind of thing, where you go off and take some tips and practice and come back with some homework and discuss and that kind of thing. So put your thinking caps on and drop us an email, because we're actively looking for that kind of stuff now for next year to keep things fresh for you guys.
Good.
You want these sort of ones to continue? Is that a choice?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we really enjoy this.
It's really enjoyable. Yeah, really, and they're very educational as well as enjoyable. Yeah, they really are. No, I found them very good indeed. Yeah.
Super.
It was good having you, Leslie. It's nice to have a new member who
is. It is. Yeah. Thank you for coming, Leslie.
Really wowed, and we
That's all right.
Desensitized to the wow factor, haven't we?
Yeah. No. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Right.
Why did I miss the other ones?
I don't know. We tell everybody about them, but they just don't listen.
This is the first one of these I've been to, and I've greatly enjoyed it. Joe, you could return to Adobe Portfolio and how to do it better.
Just Portfolio, or kind of putting your website together in general, your photographic websites?
Organising Lightroom through folders into smart whatever they are, or
collections,
and then how you then take that off into Portfolio.
Very happy to do a kind of photo organising and publishing session. Yeah. could do that.
Yeah.
A few people are nodding on that one. So
otherwise, all these pictures that we produce, we don't show them anywhere.
we don't do anything with them. No, I know, it's awful, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah.
Can I,
No, I
can I
shared my.
suggest that we could do a program on what judges are looking for when you go into competitions? I've been doing judging now for 3 years.
Yeah, and I mean, we could maybe do 2 or 3 of us that judge. I mean, David, you judge, you know, and I judge.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have a 2-year judge accreditation program here. I completed 3 years ago, and it's great because it made me a far better photographer.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that, and that might be an opportunity for like 2 or 3 judges to kind of chip in on, you know, their tips and tricks and what they look at and stuff, because it's okay listening to me ramble on, but I'm just one person kind of. But if we got 2 or 3 judges kind of, you know, explaining their process or whatever, and again, maybe just take a selection of images that you all send in, and, you know, right, what would I do as a judge with this image? Kind of how would I process this mentally and score it and stuff? And then David, you know, tells you how he would do it, and you kind of would get 2 or 3 different kind of instances and explain our reasoning, if you like. Yeah.
One I would be interested in, Joe, not to drag things on too long, would be the construction of triptychs. In other words, you can use street photography, flower photography, almost any basic area, but then construct them into sort of a meaningful triptych, and it's a very interesting exercise, and it brings together, you know, the skills of taking photographs but looking for continuity as well, and
composition. I mean, we touched on that with the panels talks, but we could revisit that. I mean, it's a couple of years since we did those panels talks, so we could maybe do that series again.
I think it's a really nice one to get in. Well, for me, it's a really nice one to get into that. Yeah.
We do have a talk in November from Cherry Larkham doing flower ones.
I'm just going to answer the door. It might be a delivery. 1 second.
I've signed on for that, Mel, but I'm always very happy to have 2 opinions.
Absolutely, but I just make you aware of that one. But
Thank you for that.
To Kelly, that's good. No, but that is a thought for next year.
Yeah,
because people don't always see them straight away, and they'll join up next year if they haven't this year.
Yeah, I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, great morning again. Yeah.
Yes,
We better draw it to a close. That's the Tesco van delivering. So unload all my shopping for a couple of minutes.
Is that the beer for tomorrow afternoon?
All right. More scones, Joe.
Yeah, more scones. Oh yeah, absolutely. Right, we'll see you all in September.
Have a good August.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
You're going to stay on, Mel?
Yeah. Can you stop the recording? Because we didn't.
I'll stop the recording, and just give me 2 minutes.